Okay, looks like we are mic'd up. Everyone able to hear us? Fantastic. Thank you for showing up here. We are at time, and we'll get started. How's everyone enjoying Ignite so far? Like some of our announcements, I guess? Cool. Let's get into the session. We'll start with introductions. I'm Kalyan Kaki. I'm a group product manager at Microsoft, been with the company for 20 years. I had the pleasure of building many things, but the latest one is working on Oracle Database at Azure. Yes, it screwed up my summer holidays a couple of years back, but it's all worth it if I look at it now. Right? With me is Tammy. Tammy, why don't you introduce yourself?
Thank you. Hi, I'm 𝗦𝗽𝗲𝗻𝗂, and I'm a Senior Director of Product Management, and I focus on our Exadata database services and multi-cloud. And how exciting to see both of us up here together.
Yeah. Later in the session, we'll be joined by Srivatsn, who is our Group Engineering Manager. He's the one who does all the work, and I get to talk about it. And Abhilash, who is a fantastic customer who has trusted both Microsoft and Oracle to deliver a fantastic service for him. He's the CTO at Craneware Group, and he'll be joining us to talk about his experience. We'll have a small Q&A with him so that you get to hear from him directly. Right? Let's get into the content. Overall, this is the agenda of what you would see. I probably talked about this a bit. Let me start. Oh, I introduced the speakers as well. I saved some time. OK. Microsoft and Oracle have been fiercely competing in giving you the best products, right? Fiercely competing. No two words about it. But it is customers at the center of whatever we do. So for us, it's not just independently building products. It is building products together for you that matters. Right? The theme of Oracle Database at Azure is something that exemplifies that. We'll get to that. The partnership has been not new. We have been building products together for the last 30 years, supporting on each other's platform, working fantastically. In the last 10 years, we have been working very closely on the cloud partnership. Particularly, Oracle has been kind enough to go support a blessed image to run your Oracle instances in Azure. There's a lot more that they support in Azure for the last many years. 2019 was, I would say, the first evolution of a much better together story, Interconnect. It's a partnership where we handpicked some of the regions and data centers that have very close proximity, where you can literally get under 2 milliseconds between apps that are deployed here, databases that are deployed in Oracle, right? We handpicked, we made this connectivity over ExpressRoute and Fast Connect easy for you to let you deploy your databases in OCI and apps in Azure, and also use the Fast Connect and the broad network to bring in data from OCI into any of the data services you have in Azure, right? 2023 was a game changer. Right? This is Oracle Database at Azure. We'll talk about why it is a game changer in a bit. But the picture speaks to it all. This is the first time Larry was in Redmond in a Microsoft campus to tell the world, his company, our company, that we are really serious about building something that is groundbreaking. And that picture exemplifies that. Funny story there, about 20 of us, some of the folks in the room were also in the same room at the picture. But unfortunately, none of us were able to, were given the permission to take a picture with them or clap for anything they said or even talk to them, right? We had to silently absorb and let it sink in into our memories for a long time to come, right? Anyways, let's get into this. So like I said, we have been doing this for many years, and particularly in cloud for many years. Running workloads that have Oracle Database as the backend or DBMS is not new. We have had a wide spectrum of workloads that run successfully in Azure now, be it SAP, custom apps, third-party app, third-party ISV apps, whatever, right? We have a wide spectrum of third-party and custom apps, but not just that. We also have Oracle apps like JD Edwards, PeopleSoft, all run in Azure today. But we are here to not talk about what was possible. We are here to talk about what is possible over the last year and what will be possible in the future. And before we get into the future, let's kind of get a little bit of context, right? based on some of the surveys Microsoft did, there's a lot of momentum around AI, right? No secret. I mean, you probably forgot B comes after A. You probably think I comes after A. I was joking with my wife that, hey, very soon the alphabetical orders will have to change. People will forget there is B after A, and it will only be I after A, which is AI, right? Which is the theme of the conference, right? And data is what powers AI, right? And data can be heterogeneous, data can be everywhere, and Oracle data is a key source for a lot of AI that is being powered. So we did the survey some time back to kind of figure out how the CXOs were thinking. What we realized was very interesting. It was resonating with all the effort Microsoft was making. About 75% of the leaders in the world are building new products in the cloud, right? No surprise. 82% believe AI will enhance their performance, and 75% believe Microsoft has one of the best-in-class AI solutions, right? Now put it together with Oracle data, what you can do is unlimited. And now let's look at the broad picture, right? As it pertains to Oracle databases and applications, right? Azure takes pride in being a platform company and offering you a choice of how you migrate or modernize to cloud. As it pertains to Oracle databases and Oracle applications, there are plenty of choices, right? If you have business pressure, and if you want to do lift and shift, which is in the top section there, unfortunately, I'm not able to shine my laser there, but in the top section, and if you have to migrate your applications, yes, we do support lift and shift. You have fantastic options at this point in time. If you have self-managed instances, you can go run them on IaaS. Or if you want to lift and shift what you have in Exadata with the Oracle Database at Azure offering, you can lift and shift your Exadata into Oracle Database at Azure, right? The app layer for it, yes, you can run it on IaaS, but that's just not it, right? We love our VMware service as well. If your enterprise has your applications running on VMware, that is equally supported. You can run your applications on Azure IaaS, Kubernetes, or VMware, anywhere. They will all have same access to the Oracle databases that run either on our VMs or on the Exadata platform that is jointly built by Oracle and us, right? If you are looking at the spectrum of apps that you're looking at modernizing, you have options for that as well, right? Yes, we do offer choice in modernizing to Postgres or one of Microsoft's first-party database offerings. But at the same time, we also offer autonomous DB if you want to stay on your Oracle, keep Oracle as your DBMS, but want to use the latest and greatest. That's also supported and offered in Azure Cloud, right? Bottom line, it's plenty of choices that you have to go run your spectrum of workloads in Azure confidently, all right? To put that together, to the left is what you are able to do on our IaaS platform today, right? If you want a self-managed instance, you can run that on IaaS. You have a plethora of storage options, native Azure storage, NetApp storage, all of them are available. You have blessed images or certified images from Oracle to go deploy your Oracle database instances on IaaS. Similarly, if you want to run on IaaS but want a DB as a service, we have fantastic partners like Tessel that offer a DB as a service platform that lets you go simplify the database administrator's job as you translate to cloud and try to understand how the database runs on our infrastructure better, all right? You have choices there. But now let's talk about what's hot, what's new. It's all about our Exadata at Azure offerings, right? Like we said, you can run your Exadata database, and you can also run autonomous DB. There's a lot more we can do. And as we get Tammy in, she will talk about what is coming new there, right? Let's move on. So with this, why don't I let Tammy take over and how we are bringing the best of Oracle and Microsoft together for you. Tammy?
Thank you so much. Yes, this is so exciting how we can we're working together, and I've heard it over and over, resonated with our customers. We're so happy that Microsoft and Oracle are working together. So this is a great picture that kind of gives you a high-level overview of how this solution works. So what you can see is that we're actually bringing our Exadata database service and our autonomous database service to be co-located into the Azure region. This makes it, you have the same SLA, and by the way, if you're using the Oracle or the Exadata database today, or the database service on premises or in OCI, it's the exact same service. So you get the same experience and the same SLAs that you do within OCI on the Exadata and the autonomous database platforms as well. Now, the way it works, as you can see at the bottom, that Microsoft Azure is providing the infrastructure and the networking. So we basically just picked up the hardware, we've plopped it down, and then we have the networking that connects your applications that are running in Azure and your favorite applications, whatever that may be, to easily connect to our database services. So it's more than just technology. What's really exciting is there are 3 benefits that we want to name here that is commercially available to you today. So first of all, and many of you haven't known that, I've been down in the hub, and this is a question that comes up all the time. You can actually use your Microsoft Azure consumption commitments to pay for the Exadata database services and the autonomous database. That's really exciting. So you have one single bill that you look at on a monthly basis of all your consumption. Second, you can take advantage of your Oracle investments. You can bring your Oracle database, your BYOL licenses, you can have your ULAs, or you can purchase license included. Whatever you need from a flexibility to run your databases, you have that option to do that in this solution. And finally, third, this is really exciting, support rewards. If you haven't heard this before, so with support rewards, every spend that you have on Oracle support, Oracle will give you money back. And I know that's probably a new one that many people have not heard. So that means that this will reduce your support bill by using this solution as well. So this is exciting from a commercial point of view. Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about is high availability. I've been with Oracle for many years, and we've seen our levels of high availability change depending on the time, your application, and even me today. I demand to have access to an application when I go, no matter what time of the day it is. So high availability is very important to support your applications and, more importantly, your business. So at Oracle, we started this blueprint, which we called the Maximum Availability Architecture. And in that architecture, or blueprint, we provide guidance on how you can implement levels or different tools to achieve the level of high availability you need. And that's usually defined as your recovery time objective and your recovery point objective. And different applications have different RTO and RPO. Now, if you look at these different service levels, you can see that we're utilizing all the tools that you're familiar with today in Oracle, such as backup and recovery, data guard, standby, real application clusters. So this is just a guidance on how you can implement different levels of high availability, but what it comes down to is you accessing or looking at the risk of what does it mean if your application or your database is not available. So take a look at our MAA, or Maximum Availability Blueprint, to help you define your availability levels. And of course, we've implemented this within the Oracle Database at Azure solution as well. And here you go. Here's an example of how we've implemented the MAA blueprint. And this one is the platinum, the highest level of high availability that you can use. And you can see that we start off within Microsoft Azure Region 1. We have our applications and we have our Oracle Standby, or basically, let's start with the primary database, right? In one of the the Azure Zone 1. Now in Azure Zone 2, in that same region, we've also created a local standby. Now the local standby is great if you have the requirements to have very fast failover time. But then you want to expand that because if anything happens into Azure's Region 1, you want to be able to have your applications and databases still available. So as you can see, we've implemented DataGuard to have a standby over in Azure Region 2 as well. And so we can also implement Golden Gate that provides the replication capability depending, again, on your recovery time objective, recovery point objective. So you can see we're using all the tools that you're familiar with today on your Oracle database to be able to very easily implement a high availability strategy.
Can I add just something?
Yeah.
So just to add here, this is not like one region here or there. We had a principle of making sure any Azure region that supports more than one zone, at launch, we will have at least 2 zones in which we'll be deploying this, right? So any region that supports multiple zones, you should expect us to have at least 2 zones when we go announce that the region is live, right? And we have a full region roadmap we'll cover later.
Absolutely. Yeah. So that's really important, depending on what your high availability strategy is, to have the 2 zones available for you to implement that strategy. So let's take a look at a few customers and quotes that have been experiencing and implementing production into the Oracle Database at Azure solution. So let's take a look from Jay Upchurch at SAS. SAS has been around for a very long time, and they provide analytic applications. And being at Oracle for so long, you know that most of the time what you do is you download the application to your desktop and you use it. Well, SAS is providing a hosted managed service to their customers where they can run whatever their analytics, wherever they want them in the cloud. And so we're really excited to work with SAS to implement this solution and provide a hosted managed service as an example. Next, we have John from 𝗦𝗲𝗀𝗻𝗃. 𝗦𝗲𝗃𝗃 is a company in Europe, and what they do is they find employees or employers workforce talent to build their talent up. And so 𝗦𝗲𝗃 it's very important for them to keep their data always available because these companies are always looking for workforce. In fact, today I read an article that the tech workforce, there's a lot of people out there looking for jobs. So this is a very important application to keep up and running for business continuity purposes. Okay, Akshay from State Street. State Street is probably one of my favorite customers because they are a true multi-cloud customer. They have many solutions in different cloud environments. Now, State Street is looking to use the Oracle Database at Azure solution because they want to bring their applications closer to the data source, which is going to reduce the latency time between your application and your data as well. And here you can see some additional customers that we've been working with to provide a solution with Oracle Database at Azure. I like to call out Conduit because Conduit is using the solution to collect tolls from New York. So if any of you are from New York and you're going through a toll booth, you're using this solution. So that's pretty exciting. So we want to make sure we keep that data up to speed and that you're not getting overcharged as you go through the toll booths in New York as well. And then we're very lucky today and fortunate to have Abolish from Craneware Group, and he's going to come up and talk about our solution as well and answer some questions about his implementation. All right, let's take a look at what's new. I know you're all waiting for this. So at Oracle, we continue to expand the capabilities that we're going to be offering here at the Oracle Database at Azure solution.
Yep. Data is heterogeneous, and Azure, we love heterogeneous data, right? It's not, we have a ton of products that help you go put this heterogeneous data together. So we'll be talking a little bit about what are we doing with some of the products we have to handle the heterogeneous data. Then enterprise security, top of mind for everyone, right? We'll talk about how we are getting this to the next level. what is the point in doing this only in a few regions? You need this everywhere. We understand enterprises are global, and you need this everywhere. We'll talk about how we are going to expand into a number of regions.
Okay. So let's take a little bit deeper dive on these new offerings that are coming. So first of all, during the Ignite conference, we've been talking about Golden Gate and the new connectors that they've created that make it easy to connect to Microsoft Fabric Open Mirroring. We know that a lot of you love to use Fabric and Data BI in order to do your analytics. And so we're going to make it seamless and easy for you to use the data from Oracle Database to provide your analytics. Second, we have a new service that we announced in June called Oracle Database Service on Exascale Infrastructure. We're really excited because this is a new shared service that allows you to move to the cloud starting at a very small footprint and lower cost, but being able to get all the benefits of running on the Exadata platform that provides the availability, the scalability, and the reliability that you're looking for. And we make it very easy to scale up when you need more resources and then scale back down when you no longer require those resources as well. And in addition to that, the Exadata database service on Exascale Infrastructure also provides thin cloning and snapshotting as well. And then finally, on backup and recovery, near and dear to my heart, we have a service that we announced a few years ago called Oracle Database Zero Data Loss Autonomous Recovery Service. Say that several times very, very fast. So the recovery service is using the Recovery Manager technology. It's very efficient. It helps our customers take backups of their data to protect them. It's one of the components as part of your high availability strategy. It takes one level 0 or a full backup, and then after that, it only needs to take incremental backups and it rolls them forward. In addition to that, the recovery service also offers the ability to protect your databases when you need to protect high level of recovery point objectives. So not only does it take backups of the database, it also will take the redo log and send it over to the recovery service so that your recovery point objective is very, very low. Okay.
So let's look at some of the some of the improvements we are doing on the Microsoft side together with Oracle, right? Most of you probably saw how Fabric is getting better every day, right? So again, like I said, data is heterogeneous. Fabric is already fantastic destination for heterogeneous data in Azure, in AWS, in GCP. We're making it easy now to bring your data anywhere from Oracle into Fabric, not just mirror the data with our open mirror featuring. It's something we announced new at the conference. We would love for anyone who's looking at real-time analytics for your Oracle data anywhere in Fabric. We would love for you to talk to us and go get signed up for the preview. Next in the same theme, Satya in his keynote talked about how data governance is top of mind for all of the data explosion that is happening today, right? Happy to share that Oracle Database at Azure has been validated with Purview. There's a lot that we are building there, but you're able to now go see your data catalogs, able to go manage your permissions, and look at the metadata for your Oracle Database at Azure in Microsoft Purview today, right? Like I said, a lot more coming in the coming conferences or in blog posts. You will see us doing a lot in this area, including work we are extending the work we are doing for AI to this as well. Moving on, security and compliance. At CloudWorld, I don't know if, if some of you were at CloudWorld, we talked about how we have already integrated our Sentinel solution with Oracle Database at Azure using connectors. You can do, Sentinel is a Gartner leader for your SCIM and SOAR solutions. Using connectors, there's a lot you can do at this point in time, but jointly Microsoft and Oracle are working on sourcing logs and events directly for Exadata infrastructure and database into Sentinel for a more seamless integration. Not just that, compliance and certifications, we understand it is important for everyone. And when it comes to compliance, like you all know, Azure has the best portfolio of certifications. We are going to look at every certification, and you will not just get the global ones, but as we go into regions, we are being mindful and thoughtful in ensuring we're catching the compliance train for the local certifications. And it's our promise together to ensure this solution is compliant to your local laws as well as we go. And then I come to my favorite and something that is very close and near and dear to my heart, and for some of us in my team, secure networking and enhanced encryption, right? We already have a fantastic integration for Oracle Database at Azure. It is in the VNet. You can deploy it through the portal. You can manage it from Azure, but that's not enough, right? We understand you want to put it beside everything else you have in your VNet. You want to secure it, protect it, just like you protect Azure first-party resources in the VNet, and also communicate with Azure destinations, Azure endpoints, over things like private link, right? We're going to solve that for you. And to talk more, let me invite Srivatsn, our group engineering manager, who's actually building this behind the scenes. Go ahead, Sri.
Thanks, Kalyan.
Next slide.
So to introduce these features, let me talk about a setup that is somewhat common in a lot of enterprises, right? So think about what's called a hub and spoke model, right? Like there's a VNet with a hub VNet that has firewall or NVAs or something like that for doing traffic inspection. So you typically, a lot of enterprises have their apps in what's called app spokes, right? And they want to go deploy the database in a common VNet and have these applications access those databases through a hub so that they can inspect traffic, they can put rules around who can access what, et cetera. Right? And this setup will now work seamlessly with any NVA or firewall in there. So far, people had to do workarounds and things like that, but now firewall, vWAN, virtual hub, all of that kind of stuff is supported over here, secure hub. And in this setup, also imagine there's a disaster recovery region, right, where you have your application or your database replicated, and you want to go access your database from that region. You would need to peer globally, and that's also something that we'll show in a minute. And also, we'll show how to take backups to an external source through a private endpoint so that you, in a secure manner. Right? So imagine this is a Exadata VM cluster, right? The one that we showed previously. It's in East US, and it's in one of those spoke VNets, right? And imagine this is a VM in an app spoke, and as I said, you'd just be able to connect to it and run queries and things like that. But imagine you want to prevent access for one spoke, right? So you could go configure it in your NVA, but you could also now natively configure on the database subnet itself an NSG, a network security group, right? So here I have an NSG configured to deny access from a particular IP, which happens to be the IP of the VM that we were just looking at, right? So what this is doing is configuring a policy that says for this particular subnet, you'd go associate this NSG with the subnet of the database, and you can say for that particular subnet, no packets from that IP can come in, right? So you can also have other rules around different protocols and things like that. So now imagine you have this configured. You also want to access from the disaster recovery region. So let's say you have a VNet there, and you can go directly peer that VNet to the main database VNet now. This was before you would have to go through a hub or something, right? Where now there's questions of cost and security and things like that. Now you can directly peer them and access for either from a VM for backups or stuff, or you could have a database instance in the other region, like we were talking about for the architecture, maximally available architecture, right? and replicate this database to that other region as well. So once you set up the peering, you can go to that VM in that region, again, connect to it, run a database query, and it all just works as if it was just in that same VNet. Then to talk about doing backups, right? So imagine you want to take backup of your data to an external source, right? So like let's Azure Blob, for example, right? Other than the managed backup that comes with ODA. Now imagine I have a storage account with a folder called backups, right? It has nothing in it, it's just a blob. And it has public access enabled, which means you can go over the internet to access the blob, right? And you don't want to do that for security reasons. So when you disable public access, right, you can see you can't even access it from the portal anymore, right? So the way then you can access this blob is through what's called a private endpoint, right? So you'd have to go to to configure a private endpoint. What it will do is when you create a private endpoint, you can specify what service you want to configure it with, whether blob or files or whatever. So you could restrict it to that. And then you pick a VNet, right, where you would want to go create that private endpoint. And that basically sets it up so that in that VNet, a particular IP gets created, which becomes the access URL for that blob, right? So you can't access it anymore through the public URL anymore. And the biggest part here is now the traffic becomes VNet traffic, so it gets routed only through the Microsoft network and not over the public internet. Right? So from a security perspective, if you're taking backups and whatnot, say cross-region or locally, you're not going over the internet. And so that now once the private endpoint is created, you can go to you can see that it creates a network interface resource, and that's part of that VNet, has an IP, and then now you would access your storage account with this IP directly, right? So I'm back on the VM cluster, and before we were mounting the storage via the API, via the URL, now you can mount the blob directly with that IP. And you can see that this is the same blob that we saw earlier. It has nothing in it. And now I can configure from the VM cluster, use RMAN, which is a tool for taking backups, and issue a backup command. And now it's taking all that data and securely sending it over the Microsoft network and not the public internet to storage directly, right? And now you can see that, if I look at the blob, the mounted section, you see all the database objects in there. So all of this stuff we're working on for increased security, and it's all
Thank you, Sri. That's fantastic. I think the meta point here is, for us, it does not matter if it is an Oracle instance or an Azure instance in a VNet. They should all have the same security perimeter. You should be able to go manage them exactly the same way you're able to go manage any of your Azure resources, right? So like we talked about, I mean, all this goodness cannot be contained in some regions, right? We are truly going global here. We are available in 9 regions at this point in time. We're building regions as fast as we can. And in the next few quarters, you will see us expanding to about 30 plus regions globally. You will see us making announcements on new regions almost every couple of weeks from now. That's something you can definitely expect, right? With that, let's put all of that into perspective. Very complicated, but very simple for someone who has already done this. Oracle Database at Azure lives in your landing zone just like any other Azure service. That's the meta point. You don't have to think about how to go put it together. It's all there in the landing zone. We have sessions where we are happy to take you through the landing zones later in the day and show that this is deeply integrated into the Azure experience, just like any other Azure service. With that, let me call over Abhilesh. Abhilesh.
Hey, morning.
Thank you, Abhilesh.
We're on, right?
Yes.
Yep. You're on, maybe.
All right.
Yeah. Abhilesh is the CTO for the Craneware Group. So he is one of our favorite customers who has taken risk on us and been patient enough to work with us as we sort out the initial kinks, and is now starting to go deploy your applications into production. All right. Ablesh, why don't we start this? Why don't you tell us more about the Kreenware Group, your business priorities, and as a CTO, right? How is cloud and AI helping you meet them?
Sure. Thank you for having me here. Kreenware Group, right? It is a group of 3 different verticals that we call that I would like to call out, right? We are a value cycle company, so we play in the revenue side of it, but also around pharmacies with helping our providers, which are our hospitals, make the most out of it, right? What that allows them then to do is not really focus on how they're going to make the money, but then focus on how they're able to take care of the people in the community, their patients, right? So letting them focus on their primary core business, which is taking care of their patients and the communities that they are in, but then using our products to be able to take a little bit of that away from them, right? So 3 verticals, like I said, right? There is revenue intelligence, which basically talks about how do I make sure that I'm getting the right reimbursements, right? Looking at the contracts, looking at other data feeds that are coming in and saying, this is actually correct, or being able to go back to a payer and going, I was supposed to get X, but you gave me Y. Where's the difference, right? And trying to catch some of that upfront through some analytics, but also being able to do that as a retroactive, and providing them the tools that are needed to be able to put those requests, those audits back in and track those out, right? That's one. The second one is a business of pharmacy, which doesn't necessarily always sit within, when I'm talking about this, think of the context of a hospital, right? Because that's our primary customers. With the business of pharmacy, it doesn't necessarily sit within the revenue cycle stream of a hospital. It sits on the side, but it's pharmacies, right? So that's a business. Some hospitals have their own department of pharmacies and their own cost centers. Others fall within a different department or a division within the hospital, but that's also bringing in some revenue, right? So we have products and tools that allow them to run analytics on it, for example, to be able to go say, does this drug still make sense? Again, we are not looking at the clinical side. We're staying away from it, but we do add another data point that the Department of Pharmacy, the Chief Pharmacy Officer, for example, and the Pharmacy Committee can look at and go say, what is the best path forward with not just the clinical outcomes, but also from a financial outcome perspective too. The third one is Kreenware Healthcare Intelligence. Their products really talk about labor productivity, right? So you can use those to make sure that you have the right people, the right skills, the right folks on the floor that are needed, and be able to do some predictive analytics on it to be able to say, 2 weeks from now, this is what I need, here's what the schedule is. The other product they have is called TDS, Decision Support, which if you are familiar with healthcare, right, we're moving from an episodic care to a value-based care, right? But a lot of hospitals are going blind into not knowing what it is, right? Episodic care being more of a flat fee model versus value-based care, right? Being where, depending on what the outcome is, right? So that those gives them the tools to be able to make decisions based on which department or which cost center they want to move away from. So that's a little bit about the Kreenware Group, right? Your second part of that question was around challenges, right? One of the big reasons, and this was about a year and a half ago when Oracle and Microsoft announced the OD at A, and it was one of the things I was really looking forward to, right? Our environment is hybrid and multi-cloud. So part of our applications sit in a co-located data center. There's some in OCI, Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, and there's some in Azure, right? So being spread out, yes, there's values to it, but for me, the value of being able to bring all of that together into one cloud was more attractive than anything else, right? You've heard multiple people talk about this, right? Data drives AI. Being able to get all of that data together in one place makes my life and my mind a whole lot easier. Can we get around? Obviously, absolutely. But having everything in one place, way better, right? So having that announcement through was one of the things that I was really looking forward to. And then of course at the keynote, talking about Fabric, talking about the purview and the ability, Golden Gate, right? So those are some of the things that will allow us to continue to leverage Oracle, Exadata, but then also be able to leverage the hyperscaler as well as the apps and the native capabilities within Azure. So in my mind, that's kind of like the best of everything that I can think of. Yes, a lot of work needs to be done, still a long ways to go with the future, but yeah, it's a fantastic step forward.
Personally for me, we have been working with tens of customers. Your story resonates significantly with us, right? Because you have the best of a number of technologies all put together, right? I think you have VMware, which is moving to AVS. You have applications that are moving to OpenShift. You have applications that are moving to Kubernetes, all going and interacting with the Oracle data, all right?
Yep.
So we talked about your production environments. Maybe let's talk a little bit about your analytics portion of it, right? AI and analytics. Tell us more about your Fabric plans.
So we're still in the pre-evaluation stage of looking at Fabric, right, and trying to figure out if that's the right path forward. We depend a lot on data coming in from our customers, right, which means that we have to go to their IT teams and ask them give us this data feed. A lot of it is standardized data feeds, so it's fairly, and I will use the term simple, but it's very relative, right, to get versus some other data specs that they have to go build out. If we're able to get that data directly from them, because if they live in Fabric, right, with the capabilities of mirroring, then we can give them, here's what we need from you, give us access to these specific data points, right? Because that's kind of where the vision is with Fabric, to have that molecular level, permission level, right? That allows us to actually get the data ourselves, cuts off a lot of time, allows our customers to come up live much more quicker than waiting on them to give us the data. We validate the data ourselves. We know what it is, so there's no back and forth. So that's kind of where that's going to help. Now that we, at one point here in the next couple, 3 months, right, we're kind of following the Microsoft playbook that was on one of the slides earlier, about 4 or 5 slides ago, right? Do a lift and shift, and then start looking at what is it that we can modernize. Part of our applications are monolith. We're looking at using Kubernetes, AKS, and ACA to start building out these services and putting them in, leveraging Kubernetes. We currently run VMware in our Miami data center, right? With the lift and shift, we're just taking it over into AVS. But at some point, we'll start looking at whether it still makes sense, go into a services architecture. Of course, obviously, there might be other pieces that are still left out, which maybe third-party tools we integrate with that are not necessarily there yet, or but it's going to be a long journey, right? It's not something that can happen tomorrow. One of the reasons why we decided to go with the lift and shift. Now that we can start getting all of that data together, we can have analytics. One of the key things with the keynote around was about being able to run transactional queries within Fabric, right? And having SQL engine using T-SQL there, and then with the future being Cosmos and Postgres, which again is one of the 4 primary databases that we use, right? Exadata, Cosmos, Microsoft SQL Server, and Postgres. So having now the majority of that in there, plus with mirroring of Exadata, opens the world for us to be able to run those use the data to build out those LLMs, machine learning and AI, right? Being careful that we're still building it in the context of that customer, right? Which again is allowed through the permission levels that are available in Fabric. So that's kind of where we're wanting to go.
Yeah, no, I'm very curious to see how your journey evolves and how it all comes together. Maybe 6 months, 9 months.
Absolutely.
We would love for, I mean, you're already using the technology, you're starting to use the technology. We hope that all of this comes together and you're able to go make fantastic progress as a company. Short on time, so let's probably wrap it up. You're in this session. Maybe the timing for the first session was changed a bit. You do have additional sessions to go double-click into some of the topics that we talked about today. You can take a note of the sessions, and you can. These are not going to be available on demand. So we'd highly encourage you to continue the journey that you started in this session and take it into the next sessions, right? And to learn more about this, we have docs that we continuously update. With that, thank you, everyone. Maybe come up on the stage.
Yeah.
We should probably take a picture.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for coming to the session. We hope to see you all taking advantage of the best of both companies coming together for you. Thank you.
All right.